All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone across the world. We have finished the round of 16 weekend of the Taiko World Cup. So what is next, you ask? Well, what's next is the quarterfinals Mappool Showcase. All of the teams that have succeeded and gotten past the round of 16 will be using these maps to battle each other out. I'm once again in Luminite. I am joined by Teasel this time. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing really good. We had an interesting round of 16 this year, and no crazy upsets or anything, but that's all right. The quarterfinals, though, is where things look like it's going to start getting interesting. So I'm really excited to just jump into the pool and see what these players are going to have to be up against.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a rather, I would say, boring Saturday. We saw a lot of 5-0s, but on Sunday we turned the competition up a notch, and I think it's only going to go up not even just once, but even maybe like 4 or 5-fold for the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
we have lots of close matches, so this is going to be interesting. We're about to witness everything these matches and these players are going to be competing against. And of course, we're going to start with Nomad 1 as soon as we're ready. Here we go. Fantastic Toriense. 7-7 Kusa bootleg. You got a KTYN map. What a great, well-known mapper. Especially for a Nomad 1. You know, we expect Nomad 1 to be that variety pick. KTYN is capable of being so versatile. So let's see what they have in store for us.
Yeah, it definitely seems like leaning a lot more into the 1-6 already, having the powers on the intro. It seems this year that so far Nomad 1 has kind of moved away from kind of pure consistency to being, as you say, like a bit more of a variety pick. So with this one being almost 3 minutes, there's a lot of room to fit all that in. Have some money doublets in this one already.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. It's almost on par, I would say. Definitely a step up, but on par for the technicality that we saw from the round of 16 Nomad 1. So this is definitely, I would say, like a natural step up from what we saw, because all weekend we've all been saying, oh, you know, Nomad 1 is the variety pick, but it's definitely a little bit more natural than we're used to. I think this is exactly the type of map that you would follow that up with.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm also seeing down at the bottom that it's 220 BPM as a base, but it does seem like there is a bit of variety in the BPM as well. So that 1-6 and 1-8 doublets are not going to be too easy.
Yeah, especially with the doublets into some of these longer 1-4, 1-6 streams. I think it's definitely going to be a little bit not necessarily hard for the players of this caliber to hit, but to do it with the correct accuracy, I think is going to be the question. So this is going to be, I think, a really good map to separate, for like lack of a better term, the haves from the have-nots. I mean, this is something that it looks like we cover all of the bases. We see 1-4, we see 1-3, we see 1-6, we see 1-4, 1-6. It's covering all of the bases at a BPM that is rather difficult, especially to execute properly at this level, especially when you factor in nerves and all the other tournament stuff that goes into being at the TWC level. So this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. This map is looking pretty good. I think this is a BPM increase here for the ending as well. It sounds faster, but I could be wrong. And looks like the 1-6, even though this is a bit faster, it's still a bit more accessible compared to the peak of the 1-6 in the previous rounds in Mod 1. And not as many finisher shenanigans going on either. So I think this one should be pretty well received by all the players, and I think it will be a popular pick.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, I do believe that this is something we're going to see a decent bit being played, especially in those matchups where we have two teams that are a little bit closer together in seeding. You know, seeding is not, of course, the end-all be-all, but it does definitely have an indication. I think we're going to see stuff like this where the little things are going to come into account. And I think in this case, especially when we get to the higher level, the 100 count is going to be what separates the top from the bottom.
For sure. So let's move on to No Mod 2. And it's going to be System Z by Jimmy Wackel?
Weckle, I think.
Wackel, okay, it's an E. So yeah, seems like it's a lot more towards your traditional tech map style. 147 BPM, very short, 1 minute 50 seconds. But got a lot of different snapping going on already.
Yeah, you know, when we talk about length of the map, it's always interesting because I find that usually the tech picks like this right here tend to be the shorter the picks, and that's when 100s and misses are way more detrimental to the team score than anything else. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of 1-4-1-6 patterns. We're seeing a lot of even like triplet 1-6 that lead into longer 1-4 streams, and it's going to be very intriguing to see who decides to take this challenge on, because I think that even if you would expect a team to like be, oh, this isn't the exact team I would say that can handle a tech map, it's only 1 minute and 50 seconds long. So that does have a factor in whether the players can handle it, because if it was longer, then that's a totally different scenario.
Yeah, watching this style of map on the teams that are much closer in seeding to one another, I think it's going to be very nerve-wracking. Oh no, not the bongo players.
That is going to be rough for any of our DDK players in the tournament.
Oh, good luck to them. Fortunately, the BPM is fairly low, but consistency is really what matters when it comes down to it in the end. And like that, it's already over.
Mm-hmm. Definitely like one of the shortest maps we've seen in the Taiko World Cup thus far. And that's what makes any 100s, any misses, so much more penalizing if any team encounters them.
Yeah, max combo only 850, and needing 400 to start getting maximum score. Like a single miss in the middle of the map, and you're not really getting any of that bonus score at all.
Alright, here we go. I believe this is what, No Mod 3 now. Is that an A? Ray Y? Terrorism?
Oh, it's this song. Alright, so a lot of people were kind of thinking, you know, we had like 270 something BPM in round of 16. We're already going up to 300 for quarterfinals, but no, the BPM staying fairly the same. We're going to be 280, fairly long map though. So, well, last year did go up to 300 or so BPM. It was only for a small kind of section of the map. This one, we've got 280 for 3 minutes. So it's going to be a lot more stamina drain.
Yeah, that's definitely an important thing to consider. I was pulling for the World Cup for 3 years now. You know, it's different having a singular 300 BPM pick that goes up to that actual BPM for a minute, as opposed to what we see now where you're actually facing the 280 BPM for the entirety of the map. Those are two different skill sets and two different staminas that are required, because a lot of people can hit those 300 bursts, but you ask them to actually play 300 for a extended amount of time, and that's when the actual difference becomes and shows.
Yeah, we do see plenty of rest sections though, just parts that are only 1-2 and apparently maybe the occasional triple or something like that. But these KIs will give it more difficult, a lot more dense. Hopefully those finishers don't catch anyone out. You can play it safe and just play them as normal notes and alternate them, but you will be missing out on a lot of vital score.
Yeah, we've seen a few cases where the highest scores on either team, the difference between the two players is whether or not they hit the finisher. So you got to consider that in your cost benefit analysis, so to speak, when you're practicing this. Do I really want to hit the finishers, or do I want to sacrifice the accuracy in order to hit the finishers? It's honestly, a really tough trade-off.
Alright, and rounding out that final KI with some pretty long parries. And just some extra decently dense stuff just to round the map out. And there it is. Looks like a pretty solid map. Should still be accessible to all the players that are still remaining in the tourney. And we'll move on to No Mod 4. Alright, so this is how to tutorial move out. So this is our gimmick map. So far we see some very silly bar line shenanigans going on. Some slider notes.
The barline gimmick's definitely taking a step up from what we saw last week. I was about to say, you know, last week we saw quite a bit of the. I would say it was really an introduction to the amount of gimmicks that Taiko has learned how to use. It covered all of the bases. It had sliders. It had barline gimmicks. It had memorization, and we're about to see all of that stuff again right now, except taking a level up. This is definitely quite a step up from what we saw last week, and it's going to require a decent amount of dedication from players who want to maybe pick this against their opponent.
Yeah, on one of those earlier sections, having the kind of extended bar line shrinking into each other representing the cats was actually kind of overlapping some of the regular straight bar lines that would represent the dons. So the reading is pretty difficult. Oh, in that section. Mechanically, incredibly easy. But I was misreading that myself, so watch out for that one.
We got sections here, yep. And we got bar. Oh my god, this is actually a really intense section right here.
Yeah, seeing the sections with the slider heads with the extended ones being cats and the regular ones being dons, like that, it's not a super commonly used gimmick. So unlike bar lines, which have so many different maps out there, the players will be kind of used to it. That gimmick is probably going to trip up players a lot more though. That's the one that's going to require a lot of practice. But fortunately it's not too long, only a bit over 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is one of our shorter maps, but I will say this is definitely one of the more demanding maps. Any team that finds themselves to be in the area where they are comfortable with gimmick maps, even with this one, they're gonna have to spend a little bit extra time, I think, not depending, but given how complex this map really is, not only SV wise, but just technical wise as well. So this is going to be interesting to see who picks it, who doesn't pick it, and who bans it.
Okay, and No Mod 5. This is probably going to be the stream map. This is Twilight of the Thunder God, mapped by Fruko, death difficulty, and replayed by Fruko, I guess. Interestingly, is the BPM lower than last week's? I could be wrong. Gotta check that. But anyway, 191 BPM for 4 minutes. This is a long stream, and the patterns are not as simple as they were for last week's either. Last week's very much played into the idea of the current meta and the farm maps that are being produced over the past couple of years. When does the stream stop?
Eventually.
Oh, okay. You get a very small rest moment. So the BPM being only 191 kind of makes sense. The stamina needed for this is pretty crazy. and note locking, I can see that being a very significant issue.
Definitely seeing a really long stream here. That's really important to notice because some players might find a note lock on a stream as long as this, and that really might be able to change the favor of who's going to win this pick in the quarterfinals matchups. Because if they find a note lock as long as that on a pattern like that, and we're seeing another one just as long almost, it has the potential to completely change what is going on.
Yeah, fortunately, while the patterns aren't incredibly simplistic, they don't look terribly complex either. And as well as the map is at OD 6.5, so the accuracy is a little bit easier as well. Section being a bit more calm, a bit easier, gives the players a chance to capture breath a bit, build up their combo. Hopefully no one chokes on these finishers.
Yep, this is quite a heavy finisher section here. Followed up by quite a long stream here. Yeesh.
Also noticing that sometimes in these streams there's some mono patterns very heavily favoring the Dons. I don't think it should be too problematic for bongo players, but you never know. They need something to complain about. And this one being very mixed. Definitely the kind of section that's a bit more difficult for the KDDK players. A lot of kind of switching. More very long streams to rent the map out. A pretty unrelenting experience for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, it seems to have worked out in your favor. Definitely a amazing score from our replay setter right here.
Whoever that could possibly be.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, and we have 6 no mods this pool, and here it is. This is Genius, the Yunosuke remix. This one is 3 minutes in length, around 160. Oh no, what is this? 160 BPM. What type of map is it supposed to be? It's just like, did you not like that people were banning other things and just thought, oh, need to channel the ban somewhere else? Let's introduce a new map for that. Some of those patterns look brutal. Very burst heavy. 1-8, crazy doublets. I can definitely see this being a map that significantly favors the higher seeded teams more. Kind of in whatever matchup there is. It's like a weird type of consistency tech. I'm not sure how to describe this one. How someone suggesting it's an all-rounder. Bit of tech, wee bit of SV. Alright, we have a slowdown section. Everyone knows that the easier slowdown sections is where most of the accuracy is lost. So keep an eye out for that. very even note heavy section, lots of doublets, very easy to misread, kind of creating almost a bit of like a faux swing kind of approach. I think last year's swing was a pretty popular skill set that appeared in the free mod pool a couple of times. So here it is in a no mod 6 this time, paired with whatever the rest of this is.
It's definitely got the length that you expect. The 3 minutes, we're definitely going to see the potential for things to turn around, but it's probably likely going to be in the favor of one of the other teams. But should it be a close matchup, that length, that 3 minute length is exactly what we're looking for.
What I can say though is the map does look pretty cool.
It is quite fantastic. It was honestly a bop to listen to. I was kind of just dozing off, listening to how good the song was, I'm not gonna lie.
A really nice challenge to throw into the pool. So we'll move over to Hidden now. This is, I can't read. This is terrible.
We got
Polynosis.
Looks like that, yeah.
Mapped by Rofo, someone that makes some really good slow hidden maps.
So we're likely going to see this map get banned a lot. But it's definitely worth looking at for sure as we look into what these players are going to be looking at. But given what we just saw in the round of 16, how banned Hidden 1 was, we might not see it a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that Hidden 1 will get a bit more activity kind of going forward in the pools, as there's a lot less difference between the team's skills, ideally. So it's not going to be immediately favoured towards one team over the other, but it is still a common target ban, so I don't think it's going to be completely free from that just yet.
Yeah, the deeper we get into tournaments, the more we start actually investigating what it is going on behind these picks. And this is a great example because, you know, on paper, it might be really a good pick against certain teams, but it also might be a really bad pick against others. So you got to be careful with what you want to do. And especially what we're seeing right now is actually a fairly decent play.
Yeah, I think this section has got a bit of 1-3 in it. I also have some 1-6 patterning. The SV in some of these sections is deceptively low, but there is fairly consistent as well. There's not quite as many overlapping sections as we saw in last week's Hidden 1. So I think kind of those sorts of factors together may help kind of boost teams wanting to go for this pick and maybe leaving it open. Alright, and we're going to go to Hidden 2 now, which is Far Away Light. So this will be the faster of the two Hiddens. Straight into it. 216 BPM. Definitely seems to be a lot streamier as well, similar to last week's. Bit of a start-stop kind of motion going on. But at this speed it shouldn't be too bad for the players. Map coming in at 2 minutes 25 with OD7, so accuracy is going to be pretty important in that one. But nothing too out of the ordinary. The section is very strange. It's one of those parts where it kind of felt like it was 1-3, but I'm not 100% sure if it was. The SV makes it kind of deceptive. Some very long streams there, but our replayer expertly hitting them. I was seeing quite a mix of finishers as well, but they're not like in the middle of patterns. They're kind of just at the end, which shouldn't be too bad. Have more streams to round out the map. Some additional finishers. And some very high SV. But looks like a really great map. That should be pretty well received by all the players, I think. I think that one will be a fairly popular pick. I think a lot of the players enjoyed Hidden 2 from last week, so I think this one will be just as popular. Alright, here we go for Hard Rock 1. This is Assault Taxi. This one's only 154 BPM, but OD 9.1. Alright, despite the low BPM, it's got some high SV sections. And as we can see, once again, this is a lot more tech-oriented. Got 1.8 and 1.6 in the middle of all these patterns. Alright, things are looking pretty good. The SV is high on this one, which I wasn't really expecting. The patterning's staying fairly simple during that section though. The SV's at the section where the stream that I'm having to watch, it shows every note is about 4. So it's pretty difficult for me to follow along, but doesn't look too bad. The style of the 1.6 and 1.8 patterning feels, or looks, kind of decently similar to last week's Hard Rock 1. The step up in difficulty really feels a lot more linked to the increase in SV rather than the pattern difficulty. But there definitely is a ramp up there. The much more addition of the 1.8, mostly in the form of triples by the looks of it. But that's really going to tank a lot of players' accuracies for the ones that aren't confident with mixing and the speed up and slow down in an instant. And there it is. A really great map by Rise once again, and with a nice edit for the World Cup this year. And we'll move over to Hard Rock 2. So you thought 7-7 was only going to be appearing in the no mod pool? You were wrong. Something very unexpected. I have a original for Hard Rock 2 by 7-7. Here's the full view of the background. It's looking pretty funky. It's plain and simple, but very effective, I feel. The map was very fast. The main thing I feel is that, like, this kind of song generally isn't what you would see or expect in a Hard Rock 2 pick. And yeah, I think it works really well. The length of the patterns just works really well. It kind of has that stream feel without being like a typical kind of like stream song. Quite a good mix of finishers in there as well. OD 9.8, yeah, 210 BPM as was said in the chat, and just over 2 minutes in length. So should provide a really good challenge and a really enjoyable experience for the experienced hard rock players in the tournament. Oh, let me see, is there any other... There's probably other things I need to say about this one, sorry. Yeah, so that was 7-7 featuring Kasane Vavzed, composed by them. The graphics design was by Kasane Vavzed and Sakura 006. The video and design coordinator being Sakura 006. Mapped by Invisible O, and our replay was done by Zay. So thank you very much for all the effort onto that, and I really hope the players enjoy it for this weekend. There we go, we have a YouTube link up there in the chat as well for everyone to go and listen to it in their own time. But we've got to move on to Double Time 1. This is Maritime Police by Street. This is a song that I would never really expect to be in a Double Time 1 slot, but at the same time it just makes so much sense. Very much has the vibe of like an alt map for standard, and that's kind of how it is mapped in the mode. I've seen it, I'm pretty sure I've seen it used in tournaments before. So seeing it here as a Double Time, it's a nice surprise. It's a very chilled out song, with a bit of a ramping intensity. So I think we'll see that reflected in the mapping. This map is only 198 BPM, only about 2 minutes 16 in length. But I'd say the main characteristic is these 1.6 and 1.8 patterns kind of chucked in the middle. Low SV as well. And it's getting slower. So a bit of a reading challenge as well. I have a bit of a chill section here. But not a break, so you can't see your opponent's scores unless you're really brave and hit that tab key in the middle of playing. But I wouldn't recommend that. And a bit of one through as well in the intros to each of the KIs. Just to keep you on your toes. Patterning overall looks really, really nice. Nothing too crazy, but don't want to keep it too simplistic either. An expertly crafted map by Mega Fan. There it is. So that is our lower BPM, kind of accuracy, techy Double Time. We're going to go on to Double Time 2, which is a complete opposite. It's all about the speed. And this is Raise Your Hands featuring Such, made by Psyche. This is mapped by Deku, 258 BPM, 2 minute 10 seconds, another shorter DT. It's OD 9.5, and that star rating's at 6.7. You know, star rating is maybe not the best thing to kind of judge difficulty with, but I feel like this is probably one of the higher star rating maps that we've seen in the whole tournament so far. Especially, you know, being almost 260. I don't think this one's going to be easy at all. A bit of even note patterning going on with the doublets. Helps spice things up a bit, and a nice break section towards the middle. This one is Inner Mario. Alright, can we get one of those like betting polls in the chat, or is there going to be an Inner Luigi in the free mod pool? Or perhaps the tiebreaker? Alright, oh, the SV increase on that stream there looks pretty high. The density of this map really ramping up in the KIs. Looks a lot more dense compared to last week's Double Time 2. And I think this is a slight SV increase section as well, so the reading is going to be really difficult. The pattern length as well definitely looks a lot longer than last week's Double Time 2 as well. Our replayer not quite getting a perfect score, so it might not be as free as people may think. But overall, looks like a really great addition to this pool. And we'll move over to free mod. Here is free mod 1. It's I Know by Ferraquitus. This is the eliminate difficulty made by MTNT Wars. So far, free mod 1 has been the mod-friendly pick of the two. I see a small amount of SV at the beginning, and some decreases there, probably just to throw off the hidden players a little bit. Already seeing it be quite a bit more mechanically demanding compared to last week's, I'd say, in the intro. We only ever kind of saw 1/6s in the KIs of last week's free mod 1. Looks like it's calmed down a bit. Some interesting SV to make some of the notes look like they're part of other patterns for hidden. Alright, this is tech. This is just a tech map. Those cat monos are gonna be awful for bongo players, I think. Here we go into the Ki. In typical Ferraquitus fashion. Gotta have the weird crazy tech section. This Ki is looking fairly comfortable. It'll probably be harder for the hard rock players. Yep, here we go. Slightly increasing SV on these streams. And looking good. Overall, yeah, definitely sticking to that philosophy. Very approachable for hidden hard rock for the experienced players. That tech section, though, that's going to be one to catch out everyone, I think. If we're going to be seeing that's where the ties kind of between the two teams, or the really close scores, that's where we're going to see them kind of diverge, and the real winner of the map kind of come out. And we'll move on to free mod 2, which is Me and You by Suckduck. This is the Carrot edit, map by Lur1211. So this is 180 BPM, 2.5 minutes, OD 6.6. So not too bad for hard rock.
Alright.
Oh, hello.
Heard towards me and you, only you speaking, so I figured someone has to fill that role. So here I am, Rafalj, coming in for the last map, the last pickable map of the pool. Free mod 2, me and you, like you said.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have. Let's not mention the deafening part. Anyways, this is the anti-mod.
What if we kissed in the TWC quarterfinal showcase?
I mean, as you can probably see, this isn't the craziest anti-mod, but it's a small step up. Small step up from round of 16, but
Yeah. No, I know this song actually, and it definitely gets crazy towards the end.
yeah, I was gonna say it steps up
But
progressively.
this section though, really tough for the hidden players.
And right there's a very
Oh.
tough spot.
Alright, but fortunately not too many notes afterwards, so it should be memorizable. Alright, here's the 1-6 and 1-8. I think there was 1-8, I might be lying. I'm probably lying.
There's a couple of 1/8s in there. I guess you could say this is more of a mechanical step up than a reading step up.
Yeah, it does seem that way. But nothing too crazy. Like, it doesn't look like one of those maps that'd be frustrating to practice with the mods on. So it seems like you've hit a really nice balance. I kinda know this song from another map. It's a collab between Horizon and Boaz, where it's like low bobs get out of taiko or something, where it's an incredibly finisher heavy spam. So maybe we'll see that one in next week's pool.
That's an idea. That's an idea. But for now, you get a simple, I guess, tech map. Yeah.
Yeah, things are looking good. And you know what that means? We're on to the tiebreaker, the final map of the pool. Let's see it.
Let's check it out. Let's look.
There we go. That is your quarterfinals tiebreaker. An absolutely incredible performance from everyone involved. This is Viatoris Nebulae, the ad infinitum of Ainsof. This is the artist Peter124 and Silas. This is 5.5 minutes long with a ranging BPM of 85 to 274.
Yeah,
The illustrator.
do not check the timing panel. You will
Do not
regret
check the
it.
timing panel. The illustrator of this amazing background is, sorry, is Arisu Sama. All the graphic design and everything once again by Sakura006. The storyboard done by Encrypton. This is mapped by FRZ with the replay done by Nurend. So this is just a culmination of just everything amazing in Taiko, all put into one project. Do you have any words that you'd like to share?
Question for the chat. Which direction is the dancer in the storyboard spinning? Clockwise
Oh, no.
or counterclockwise? Post your opinions in the comments. That's all I have to say.
We need to know, is there a correct answer?
I don't have it.
Maybe we'll need to ask our storyboarder then. But yeah, this is an incredible tiebreaker. Just from what I was able to see, this has just a perfect mix of absolutely everything that you would expect a good tiebreaker to have. Having everything just like absolutely custom made to be this incredible OC original for the World Cup. I'm just kind of speechless, to be honest, on how to convey exactly how I feel about this.
I have one word. It's cool. It's very cool. It's 7.38 stars. Quite high, but most of that's from the speed. As we all know, the star rating system is what it is.
Yeah. Well, we are at the stage of the tournament where we really need to be determining, like, who is the better team and what way to do it on such a crazy map.
I mean, at quarters, you need to have a hard map to gate people into the next round.
So
Speaking
here we
of
go.
which-
Hopefully we'll see it in matches, because it'd be such a shame not to. But I really look forward to this coming week now. The pool looks absolutely amazing, and I hope all of our players have just as much fun playing it as I did watching it.
Well, they're going to have a week to do so, because we will be seeing you then for the round of quarters. You'll be seeing a news post soon for Petar coming in as a featured artist. Be aware, read it.
Celebrate, map all their songs.
Yeah, map them all
They've
in the
been-
week that we have until we see you next time.
Yeah. If we still had warm-ups in the World Cup, would make that a rule. Has to be a Petar warm-up. But yeah, it's an artist that has been so involved in the Taiko community for many years, and it's really exciting to get to celebrate that even further and kind of recognize them for everything that they've done. But yeah, good luck to all of our players, and we'll see you next week.
Boy.